What is up, friends? It's Simon from PianoPig.com, and in this week's video I'm going to show you a really hip improvisational technique. And this is something I hear guys like Robert Glasper do all the time. The concept is simple, but it might take a bit of practice to actually incorporate it into your playing, and it has that really nice chromatic outside kind of feel to it. If you enjoy the videos I post on this channel and you'd like access to all of my best content, all of my full-length courses, quick tips, a community of like-minded piglets, then head over to PianoPig.com and have a think about joining the academy. It will be awesome to see you on the inside. But for now, let's head over to the piano and get stuck in with the video. So the idea behind this technique is essentially to just approach a chord chromatically, harmonically, and melodically. So this example is actually transcribed from Robert Glasper's recording of So Beautiful, and we're going to break it right down. This is how it sounds. And we're focusing on that chromatic lead-in. We're going to break down the concept behind what's going on here. Not necessarily the specific notes, but more how he came to the decision to use those notes. The chord progression is in the key of D minor, and the starting chord is a G minor. We don't need to know the entire progression to understand this improvisational concept. All we need to know is that this is our starting chord, the chord we are approaching. So what's going on here? Well, we basically just bring this chord up chromatically and approach it from here. So this is our first chord, G minor, and we're improvising over this with D minor. But what we can do is just before this chord arrives, we play an A flat minor instead, and improvise using E flat minor. It's exactly the same as before, but we've just moved everything up a half step. The trick is to move the chord and the improvisation down a half step at the same time whilst getting it to sound nice and smooth. And what Robert Glasper is doing in his example is extending this idea to not just a half step above, but actually 3 half steps above. So the approach chord is G minor, and he's actually started on a B flat minor, and then come down to an A minor, and then an A flat minor, finally landing on G minor for the start of the progression. And the same goes for the right hand improv. We start here, bring the chord down and the improvisation down by a half step, and again, and finally landing on the first chord of the progression. And you might be thinking, well, how does this actually fit into the given chord progression? And the answer is, it doesn't really matter. You can just substitute the last chord or the last couple of chords of the progression with this chromatic approach. The idea is to create lots of tension, finally resolving when we get back to the start. And you can choose whether to approach it from a half step above, a whole step above, or as Glasper's done in this recording, a minor third above. It just depends on how long and sophisticated you want that tension to sound. So Robert Glasper's choice of notes over this concept were the following. So that first bit almost repeats the same two-note motif. And that can actually be a very strong way to go about this, since your ears can really hear the chromatic approach. And then he develops it, finally resolving. If you haven't heard his live recording of So Beautiful, I highly recommend checking it out. So yeah, the concept behind this is relatively simple, but it will most likely take quite a lot of deliberate practice in order to fully incorporate this into your playing. Give it a go and let me know how it goes. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. I absolutely love this chromatic technique. It's such a great way to add tension to your solos and sound pretty hip at the same time. So that wraps it up for this one. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.